The morning sun cast long shadows across the remote military training facility nestled in the mountains of Colorado. Sergeant Elena Rodriguez adjusted her gear one final time, checking the weight distribution of her tactical vest. Today marked the culmination of 18 months of grueling preparation for the most elite military assessment program in the world. Only 12 candidates remained from the original pool of 300 volunteers. Elena had fought tooth and nail to even qualify for this program. As one of only 2 women to make it this far, she carried not just her own aspirations but the weight of proving that gender meant nothing when it came to tactical excellence. Her commanding officers had initially been skeptical, but her performance in previous assignments spoke volumes. She had served 3 tours overseas, earned commendations for marksmanship, and demonstrated leadership under pressure that impressed even the most hardened veterans. The assessment facility buzzed with nervous energy as candidates prepared for the final evaluation. Colonel Marcus Thompson, a decorated Special Forces veteran with piercing gray eyes and weathered hands that had seen decades of combat, addressed the group. His voice carried the authority of someone who had earned respect through action rather than rank alone. "Today's exercise will test everything you've learned," Thompson announced, his words echoing across the assembly area. "You'll face scenarios designed to push you beyond your comfort zone. Some of you will discover limits you didn't know existed. Others will surprise yourselves with what you're capable of achieving when everything is on the line." Elena listened intently while mentally reviewing her preparation. She had spent countless hours studying urban combat tactics, close-quarters battle techniques, and advanced marksmanship principles. Her rifle, a custom-modified precision weapon she had personally calibrated, felt like an extension of her body after months of intensive training. Every component had been carefully selected and adjusted to match her shooting style and physical characteristics. The other candidates included some of the military's finest personnel. Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen, a demolitions expert with an impressive record in explosive ordnance disposal, stood nearby adjusting his equipment harness. Captain David Morrison, a former Marine Force reconnaissance operative, known for his aggressive tactics and unwavering determination, checked his communications gear with methodical precision. Lieutenant Sarah Williams, a military intelligence specialist who had proven herself in psychological operations, reviewed her tactical notes one final time. Among the male candidates, Ayla noticed the subtle glances and whispered conversations. Some expressed genuine respect for her achievements, while others harbored doubts about whether women belonged in elite combat units. She had encountered this attitude throughout her career and learned to channel such skepticism into motivation. Every challenge became an opportunity to demonstrate that competence transcended biological differences. The assessment would take place in a simulated urban environment constructed specifically for training purposes. The facility included multi-story buildings, narrow alleyways, rooftop positions, and underground tunnels that replicated the complexity of real-world combat zones. Advanced technology monitored every movement, recording response times, accuracy rates, tactical decision-making, and adaptability under stress. Elena's preparation had been exhaustive. She had studied architectural blueprints, memorized building layouts, and practiced room-clearing procedures until they became second nature. Her physical conditioning included everything from marathon running to gymnastic training, ensuring she could maintain peak performance regardless of the physical demands. Mental preparation involved meditation, visualization techniques, and stress inoculation exercises designed to maintain clarity during high-pressure situations. As the candidates moved toward the staging area, Elena caught sight of the observation tower, where senior military officials would monitor the exercise. Among them sat General Patricia Hayes, the highest-ranking woman in the armed forces, and someone Elena deeply admired. The general's presence added extra significance to the day's events, representing both opportunity and responsibility. The weapons check station required each candidate to demonstrate proficiency with their assigned equipment. Elena's rifle performed flawlessly during the preliminary tests, grouping shots within a 2-inch circle at 300 yards. The weapon's precision reflected months of careful adjustment and practice. She had modified the trigger mechanism for a cleaner break, upgraded the optics for better target acquisition, and customized the stock to accommodate her shooting stance perfectly. Communication protocols were established using state-of-the-art radio equipment that would allow real-time coordination between team members. Each candidate received detailed mission briefings that outlined objectives, rules of engagement, and safety procedures. The scenarios would involve hostage rescue operations, high-value target elimination, and defensive positioning against numerically superior forces. Elena's tactical approach emphasized patience and precision over aggressive rushing. She preferred to analyze situations thoroughly, identify optimal positioning, and execute plans with calculated efficiency. This methodology had served her well in previous assignments, where hasty decisions often led to casualties and mission failure. Her instructors had noted her ability to remain calm under pressure, while maintaining tactical awareness of evolving situations. The psychological evaluation component measured stress response, decision-making under pressure, and adaptability to unexpected circumstances. Military psychologists would analyze each candidate's performance to determine suitability for special operations assignments. The mental demands of elite units required individuals capable of functioning effectively despite extreme stress, sleep deprivation, and life-threatening situations. As equipment checks concluded, Elena felt the familiar pre-mission focus settling over her consciousness. Years of training had taught her to channel nervous energy into heightened awareness and improved performance. She visualized potential scenarios, rehearsed movement patterns, and mentally prepared for various contingencies that might arise during the assessment. The other candidates displayed varying levels of confidence and anxiety. Some engaged in nervous conversation while others maintained stoic silence. Elena preferred quiet preparation, using the time to review tactical principles and ensure her mental state remained optimized for peak performance. She had learned that excessive talking often indicated underlying stress that could compromise decision-making when split-second choices determined success or failure. Colonel Thompson's final briefing emphasized the importance of adaptability and teamwork. While individual performance would be evaluated, the assessment also measured each candidate's ability to function effectively as part of a cohesive unit. Special operations missions required seamless coordination between team members who trusted each other's capabilities and judgment, without reservation. Elena's confidence stemmed from rigorous preparation and proven performance under pressure. She had faced live combat situations where mistakes carried lethal consequences and emerged with commendations for tactical excellence. The assessment represented another challenge to overcome, rather than an insurmountable obstacle to fear. The facility's advanced monitoring systems would track every aspect of performance, including movement efficiency, target acquisition speed, accuracy rates, and tactical decision-making. Sophisticated computers analyzed biometric data to measure stress responses, heart rate variability, and other physiological indicators of performance under pressure. This comprehensive evaluation ensured that only candidates with exceptional capabilities would advance to the next level. As the final preparations concluded, Elena performed her personal pre-mission ritual. She checked her equipment systematically, verified communications functionality, and mentally rehearsed the tactical principles that had guided her successful career. The ritual provided psychological comfort while ensuring technical readiness for the challenges ahead. The observation tower filled with senior officials who would evaluate each candidate's performance. Their presence added pressure but also represented the culmination of Elena's professional aspirations. Success would open doors to assignments she had dreamed about since joining the military. Failure would mean returning to conventional units and accepting limitations on her career advancement. Elena's weapon felt perfect in her hands as she moved toward the starting position. The rifle's familiar weight and balance provided confidence, while its proven accuracy gave her tactical advantages in precision shooting situations. She had developed an almost instinctive understanding of the weapon's capabilities and limitations through thousands of practice rounds. The assessment would begin momentarily, launching Elena and her fellow candidates into scenarios designed to test their absolute limits. Everything she had worked toward culminated in the next few hours of intensive evaluation. Her preparation was complete, her equipment was ready, and her determination burned stronger than ever. As Elena took her position at the starting line, she felt the weight of expectation and opportunity converging into a single moment of truth. The next phase would determine whether 18 months of sacrifice and preparation had been sufficient to achieve her ultimate goal of joining the military's most elite units. The signal to begin would come soon, launching her into the most important assessment of her career. Elena Rodriguez was ready to prove that excellence knew no gender boundaries and that she belonged among the military's finest warriors. The starting signal echoed across the training facility as 12 candidates dispersed into the simulated urban environment. Elena moved with calculated precision toward her assigned sector, her boots silent on the concrete pathways that wound between the multi-story structures. The morning air carried the scent of fresh paint from recently constructed buildings and the metallic tang of new equipment waiting to be tested under combat conditions. Elena's initial objective involved securing a rooftop position that offered commanding views of the central courtyard where the primary scenario would unfold. She approached the designated building using urban movement techniques perfected during countless training sessions. Each step was deliberate, maintaining tactical awareness while progressing toward her goal with maximum efficiency and minimum exposure to potential threats. The building's interior presented typical urban challenges, including narrow stairwells, blind corners, and multiple entry points that required constant vigilance. Elena cleared each room methodically, using her rifle to cover potential threat areas while advancing toward the upper levels. Her movement flowed smoothly from cover to cover, demonstrating the muscle memory developed through repetitive practice under stress conditions. Reaching the rooftop, Elena established a shooting position behind a concrete barrier that provided protection, while allowing clear sight lines to the courtyard below. She arranged her equipment systematically, placing ammunition within easy reach and adjusting her rifle's bipod for stable long-range shooting. The position offered tactical advantages, but also made her visible to observers evaluating her decision-making and positioning skills. Through her rifle scope, Elena observed other candidates taking positions throughout the training area. Captain Morrison had chosen an aggressive forward position near the courtyard's entrance, demonstrating his preference for close-quarters engagement over long-range precision. Staff Sergeant Chen positioned himself near a building that likely contained explosive devices for the scenario's demolition requirements. Lieutenant Williams moved toward a communications hub that would allow her to coordinate between different elements of the assessment. Her background in military intelligence made her naturally suited for information gathering and tactical coordination roles. The remaining candidates spread throughout the facility according to their specializations and tactical preferences. The assessment's first phase began with the release of simulated hostiles into the training environment. These were highly trained military personnel acting as opposing forces, equipped with non-lethal training ammunition and sophisticated monitoring equipment. Their mission involved testing the candidates' tactical responses while maintaining safety protocols that prevented serious injuries during the exercise. Elena tracked the opposing force movements through her scope, identifying patterns and weaknesses in their deployment. Her elevated position provided excellent intelligence gathering opportunities, while keeping her removed from immediate close-quarters threats. She communicated her observations to other candidates using the established radio protocols, demonstrating the teamwork emphasized during the briefing. The scenario intensified when hostiles began engaging candidates in different sectors of the training area. Elena heard the distinctive reports of training ammunition and the sharp commands of tactical movement echoing between the buildings. Her training kicked in automatically as she shifted from observation mode to active engagement, seeking targets that presented clear shooting opportunities. Through her scope's magnification, Elena identified a hostile force leader directing operations from a partially concealed position near the courtyard's eastern edge. The target presented a challenging shot due to limited exposure and the need to avoid hitting friendly forces operating in the same area. Elena calculated the range, adjusted for wind conditions, and prepared for a precision shot that would demonstrate her marksmanship capabilities. The shot broke cleanly, striking the target's center mass with satisfying accuracy. Elena immediately shifted to scan for additional threats while maintaining awareness of friendly force positions. Her actions followed protocols designed to prevent fratricide incidents that could occur when multiple shooters engaged targets in confined spaces with crossing fields of fire. Additional hostile forces appeared throughout the training area as the scenario's complexity increased. Elena engaged targets methodically, prioritizing threats based on their proximity to friendly forces and their potential impact on mission success. Each shot required careful consideration to ensure accuracy while maintaining rapid engagement rates necessary for tactical effectiveness. The assessment's tempo increased dramatically when hostile forces launched a coordinated assault on multiple candidate positions simultaneously. Elena found herself engaging multiple targets in rapid succession, while coordinating with other candidates to prevent being overwhelmed by superior numbers. Her rifle performed flawlessly as she transitioned between targets with practiced efficiency. Captain Morrison's position came under intense pressure as hostile forces concentrated their assault on his forward location. Elena provided overwatch support, engaging threats that attempted to flank Morrison's position while he dealt with direct frontal attacks. The coordination demonstrated the teamwork essential for special operations missions, where individual survival depended on mutual support. Staff Sergeant Chen's expertise became crucial when hostile forces employed simulated explosive devices that required neutralization before they could eliminate candidate positions. Elena provided covering fire while Chen moved to disable the devices, demonstrating how different specializations complemented each other during complex operations. The exercise highlighted the importance of diverse skills within elite units. As the scenario reached its climax, Elena found herself in a target-rich environment, with multiple hostile forces attempting to overrun candidate positions. Her ammunition expenditure increased as she prioritized threats according to their immediate danger to friendly forces. The sustained engagement tested both her marksmanship skills and her ability to maintain accuracy under intense pressure. The radio traffic became increasingly urgent as candidates reported their tactical situations and requested support. Elena's elevated position allowed her to maintain situational awareness while providing critical intelligence about hostile force movements. She directed other candidates toward more advantageous positions while continuing to engage high-value targets. Elena's rifle performed magnificently under the sustained fire conditions, maintaining accuracy despite the heat generated by rapid shooting. The weapon's reliability reflected the quality of her preparation and equipment selection. Each shot found its intended target as she demonstrated the precision that had earned her recognition throughout her military career. The intensity of the engagement pushed Elena's physical conditioning to its limits as she maintained the shooting position for extended periods while making rapid target transitions. Her training regimen had prepared her for exactly these conditions, where endurance and accuracy had to be sustained simultaneously under combat stress. The assessment's complexity increased when hostile forces began employing advanced tactics designed to test candidate adaptability. Elena had to adjust her approach multiple times as the opposition demonstrated capabilities that exceeded the initial briefing parameters. This adaptability requirement separated elite candidates from those suited for conventional operations. As the first phase concluded, Elena had expended approximately 60% of her ammunition while maintaining an exceptional accuracy rate. Her position remained secure despite intensive hostile attempts to neutralize her overwatch capability. The performance demonstrated her tactical value while highlighting areas where continued engagement might present challenges. Colonel Thompson's voice crackled over the radio, announcing the transition to the assessment's second phase. This would involve a different scenario with new objectives and tactical requirements. Elena quickly assessed her ammunition status, equipment condition, and physical state while preparing for whatever challenges the next phase might present. Elena's confidence remained high as she prepared for the continuing assessment. Her performance during the first phase had met her expectations while demonstrating capabilities that justified her presence among the elite candidates. The rifle had performed perfectly, her tactical decisions had proven sound, and her physical conditioning had sustained her through intense engagement. The brief pause between phases allowed Elena to hydrate and make minor equipment adjustments while maintaining her tactical position. She used the time to analyze lessons learned from the first phase, while mentally preparing for new challenges that would test different aspects of her capabilities. Other candidates reported their status over the radio as they prepared for the next phase. Elena noted that everyone had performed well despite the assessment's difficulty. The quality of the candidate pool was evident in their ability to adapt and overcome the complex challenges presented during the first phase of evaluation. As Elena waited for the second phase to begin, she reflected on the morning's events while maintaining tactical alertness. Her preparation had proven adequate for the challenges encountered, and her equipment had performed flawlessly under demanding conditions. The foundation was solid for whatever tests lay ahead in the continuing assessment. The second phase of the assessment began with an unexpected twist that none of the candidates had anticipated. Colonel Thompson's voice carried a different tone as new instructions crackled through their communication devices. The scenario would now test their ability to adapt when fundamental assumptions about their mission parameters changed without warning. Elena listened carefully as Thompson explained that intelligence had been compromised, revealing that one of the candidates was actually a double agent working for the opposing forces. The remaining candidates would need to identify and neutralize this threat while continuing to accomplish their original objectives. The psychological pressure of not knowing who to trust added a completely new dimension to the assessment. The announcement created immediate tension among the candidates as they began questioning each other's actions and communications. Elena's elevated position suddenly felt more isolated as she realized that any of her fellow candidates could potentially be the infiltrator. The tactical coordination that had worked so well during the first phase now carried risks that could prove fatal to mission success. Elena began analyzing the radio communications from the first phase, searching for patterns that might indicate deceptive behavior. She reviewed each candidate's reported positions, ammunition expenditure, and target engagement data, looking for inconsistencies that could reveal the double agent's identity. The process required careful attention while maintaining her operational effectiveness. Captain Morrison's aggressive tactics during the first phase could indicate legitimate combat expertise or potentially suspicious behavior, designed to appear convincing while actually sabotaging the mission. Elena noted his ammunition expenditure patterns and questioned whether his target selection had been truly optimal or subtly compromised. Staff Sergeant Chen's demolitions work had been crucial to mission success, but Elena wondered if his access to explosive devices could be used against friendly forces if he proved to be the infiltrator. The technical knowledge that made him valuable also made him potentially dangerous if his loyalties were compromised. Lieutenant Williams' intelligence background made her naturally suited for deception operations, but it also meant she possessed the skills necessary to maintain false identities under pressure. Elena realized that Williams' communications coordination role gave her access to information that could be used to compromise other candidates' positions. The tactical situation became more complex as Elena had to balance trust with suspicion while continuing to provide effective support for legitimate team members. She developed contingency plans for each possible scenario while maintaining her overwatch position that offered both advantages and vulnerabilities depending on who might be working against the team. Elena's analysis was interrupted when hostile forces launched their second major assault, this time with coordination that suggested inside knowledge of candidate positions and tactical plans. The opposing forces moved with precision that indicated access to intelligence that should have been available only to the assessment participants. The attack pattern focused specifically on candidate weaknesses that had been identified during the first phase, suggesting that someone had been feeding tactical information to the hostile forces. Elena watched through her scope as opposing forces bypassed well-defended positions to strike at vulnerable areas that should have been unknown to them. Captain Morrison's position came under attack from an unexpected direction that avoided his prepared defensive measures. The hostile forces seemed to know exactly where his blind spots were located and how to exploit them most effectively. Elena began to suspect that Morrison might not be the infiltrator, but rather a target of the real double agent. Elena's own position suddenly became untenable as hostile forces appeared in locations that would have required detailed knowledge of her shooting lanes and cover positions. Someone had provided the opposition with precise intelligence about her tactical setup, forcing her to abandon her carefully prepared position and relocate under fire. The relocation movement exposed Elena to significant risk as she had to cross open areas while carrying her rifle and essential equipment. The hostile forces seemed to anticipate her movement routes, requiring constant adaptation and the use of alternative paths she had identified during her initial reconnaissance of the facility. Elena established a new firing position in a less optimal location that nevertheless provided adequate cover and shooting opportunities. The forced movement had cost her tactical advantages while consuming time and energy that could have been better used for mission accomplishment. The situation demonstrated how inside intelligence could multiply the effectiveness of opposing forces. Staff Sergeant Chen's voice over the radio requesting backup sounded increasingly desperate as hostile forces concentrated their efforts on his position. Elena could see through her scope that he was heavily outnumbered and taking effective fire from multiple directions. The situation required immediate intervention to prevent his elimination from the assessment. Elena began engaging hostile forces that were closing on Chen's position, using precision fire to disrupt their assault and create opportunities for Chen to reposition. Her shots forced the opposition to seek cover while Chen moved to more defensible terrain. The coordination required split-second timing and accurate communication despite the stress of combat. Lieutenant Williams attempted to coordinate the overall defensive effort through radio communications, but Elena noticed inconsistencies in her situation reports that didn't match what could be observed from Elena's vantage point. Williams reported hostile force positions that Elena couldn't verify and suggested tactical movements that seemed questionable given the actual threat situation. The discrepancies in Williams' reports created suspicion that she might be the double agent, deliberately providing false information to compromise the defense. Elena began ignoring Williams' tactical suggestions while developing independent assessments of the situation based on her own observations and direct communication with other candidates. Elena's suspicions about Williams intensified when she observed hostile forces moving through areas that Williams had reported as clear of threats. The pattern suggested that Williams was deliberately feeding false intelligence, while the opposition used more accurate information to coordinate their attacks. The decision to stop trusting Williams' intelligence proved crucial. When Elena observed a large hostile force movement that Williams had failed to report, Elena immediately warned the other candidates while engaging the threat with precision fire that disrupted their planned assault on Chen's position. Elena's independent action saved Chen from being overrun while revealing the extent of Williams' deception. The other candidates began questioning Williams' reports as they noticed the same inconsistencies that Elena had identified. The psychological pressure of identifying the double agent began to resolve as evidence accumulated against Williams. The revelation that Williams was the infiltrator changed the tactical dynamic, as the remaining candidates could now coordinate effectively, without fear of compromising their positions through communications. Elena resumed providing accurate intelligence and tactical coordination, while Williams' false reports were ignored or countered. Elena engaged a series of high-value targets that had been protected by Williams' misdirection, eliminating hostile force leaders and disrupting their command structure. The precision fire from her elevated position began turning the tactical balance as opposition forces lost coordination and effectiveness. The hostile forces began withdrawing from some positions as their assault lost momentum without the intelligence advantages that Williams had been providing. Elena tracked their movement patterns while coordinating with other candidates to prevent the opposition from establishing new defensive positions. Staff Sergeant Chen's expertise became crucial as he identified and neutralized explosive devices that the hostile forces had emplaced during their assault. Elena provided overwatch protection while Chen worked, ensuring that opposition forces couldn't interfere with his critical mission activities. Captain Morrison's position became a rallying point for the defense, as his aggressive tactics proved effective against hostile forces that no longer enjoyed intelligence advantages. Elena coordinated her fire support with Morrison's close-quarters engagement to maximize the effectiveness of their combined efforts. The assessment's complexity reached its peak, as Elena and the remaining loyal candidates worked together to complete their original objectives while neutralizing the double-agent threat. The coordination required exceptional tactical skills and the ability to adapt rapidly to changing circumstances. Elena's ammunition status became a concern as the sustained engagement depleted her supply faster than anticipated. She began prioritizing targets more carefully while coordinating with other candidates to ensure that critical threats were engaged by whoever had the best tactical advantage and sufficient ammunition. The rifle's performance remained excellent, despite the extended combat conditions and high round count. Elena's careful maintenance and quality equipment selection proved their worth as the weapon continued delivering accurate fire when precision was most critical for mission success. As the second phase neared its conclusion, Elena assessed the tactical situation and prepared for whatever final challenges the assessment might present. The identification and neutralization of the double agent had restored team effectiveness while demonstrating adaptability under the most challenging circumstances. The final phase of the assessment began with Colonel Thompson announcing the most challenging scenario yet. Elena and the remaining candidates would face the facility's ultimate test, a simulated capture and interrogation exercise where their weapons would be confiscated and they would need to escape using only their tactical knowledge and physical capabilities. Elena felt a chill of concern as uniformed personnel approached her position to confiscate her rifle. The weapon had been her primary tool throughout the assessment, and losing it meant adapting to completely different tactical parameters. She handed over the precision rifle reluctantly, knowing that success would now depend on skills that didn't require advanced equipment. The capture scenario was designed to test psychological resilience, escape and evasion capabilities, and the ability to function effectively when primary advantages were removed. Elena found herself restrained with realistic but safe bindings, while being transported to a simulated detention facility within the training complex. The detention facility replicated conditions that special operations personnel might encounter if captured during real missions. Elena was placed in a small holding cell with minimal lighting and basic furnishings. The psychological pressure was immediate and intense, designed to test mental resilience under conditions of uncertainty and stress. Elena began immediately assessing her environment for potential escape opportunities while maintaining the mental discipline necessary to resist psychological pressure. Her training in survival, evasion, resistance, and escape tactics provided a framework for analyzing the situation and developing action plans. The cell's construction appeared solid, but Elena's detailed examination revealed potential weaknesses that could be exploited given sufficient time and effort. She noted the door mechanism, ventilation system, and structural elements that might provide escape opportunities if the right conditions developed. Interrogation sessions began within the first hour of detention, conducted by military personnel trained in psychological pressure techniques. Elena responded according to her resistance training, providing only name, rank, and service number, while deflecting attempts to extract operational information through various psychological approaches. The interrogators employed sophisticated psychological tactics designed to break down resistance through confusion, fear, and manipulation. Elena maintained her mental discipline by focusing on her training and remembering that this was an assessment exercise rather than actual enemy detention, though the stress remained very real. Between interrogation sessions, Elena continued planning her escape while monitoring the facility's routine and security procedures. She observed guard rotations, meal delivery schedules, and maintenance activities that might provide opportunities for action when the right moment arrived. Elena's cellmate was Staff Sergeant Chen, who had also been captured during the scenario. They communicated carefully, using subtle signals to avoid detection by monitoring equipment while coordinating their escape planning. Their combined skills and knowledge increased the probability of successful escape. The turning point came when Elena identified a weakness in the ventilation system that could be exploited during a planned maintenance period. She and Chen coordinated their actions to take advantage of the brief security gap when maintenance personnel would be accessing their cell block. Elena's physical conditioning proved crucial as she navigated through the narrow ventilation passages that connected different areas of the detention facility. The route required flexibility, endurance, and the ability to move silently through confined spaces while maintaining tactical awareness. The escape route led to a maintenance area where Elena and Chen could access tools and equipment that had been overlooked by security personnel. They found items that could be improvised into weapons while developing plans for neutralizing guards and escaping the facility perimeter. Elena's first target was a guard who routinely checked the maintenance area during his patrol route. She used improvised weapons and close-quarters combat techniques to neutralize him silently, while Chen secured his equipment and communications gear. The action required precise timing and flawless execution. The captured guard's radio provided intelligence about facility security procedures and guard positions throughout the complex. Elena used this information to plan their movement through areas with minimal security coverage while avoiding detection by remaining personnel. Chen's expertise proved valuable when they encountered electronic security systems that required bypass techniques. Elena provided security, while Chen defeated alarm systems and electronic locks that blocked their escape route. Their coordination demonstrated the teamwork essential for special operations missions. Elena's second target was a communications operator who could alert the entire facility to their escape attempt. She approached his position using stealth techniques perfected during years of training, neutralizing him before he could raise an alarm. The silent elimination maintained their tactical advantage. The communications equipment provided access to facility-wide radio traffic, allowing Elena and Chen to monitor security responses and adapt their escape plan accordingly. They learned that other candidates were also attempting escapes, creating multiple diversions that complicated security efforts to locate them. Elena's third target was a roving security patrol that threatened to discover their escape route. She used improvised weapons and superior tactical positioning to eliminate both guards while Chen secured their equipment and weapons. The encounter demonstrated how training could overcome equipment disadvantages. The engagement with the security patrol provided Elena with a proper sidearm and tactical equipment that significantly improved her capabilities. The weapon felt different from her familiar rifle, but her marksmanship training translated effectively to the new platform after brief familiarization. Elena's fourth target was a guard post that controlled access to the facility's perimeter. She and Chen coordinated a simultaneous assault that overwhelmed the position before the guards could react effectively. The action required split-second timing and demonstrated their ability to work as an effective team. The final target was the facility's command center, where security operations were coordinated. Elena led the assault on this heavily defended position, using advanced tactics and superior training to overcome numerical disadvantages. The engagement tested all of her combat skills simultaneously. Elena's fifth and final target was the facility commander who had overall responsibility for security operations. She neutralized him in his office, while Chen secured critical intelligence and communication equipment. The action completed their mission objectives while demonstrating exceptional tactical capabilities. The successful escape and neutralization of 5 key personnel within 90 seconds of losing her primary weapon demonstrated Elena's exceptional capabilities under the most challenging circumstances. The performance exceeded all expectations while proving that elite soldiers could function effectively regardless of equipment limitations. Colonel Thompson's voice announced the conclusion of the assessment as Elena and Chen reached the designated extraction point. The final phase had tested capabilities that couldn't be measured through conventional marksmanship or tactical exercises, revealing the true depth of each candidate's training and abilities. Elena felt exhausted but triumphant, as she realized that her performance throughout all phases of the assessment had met the highest standards. The loss of her rifle had initially seemed like a devastating setback, but it had actually provided an opportunity to demonstrate capabilities that set her apart from candidates who relied too heavily on equipment advantages. The debrief session revealed that Elena's performance had been exceptional across all evaluation criteria. Her marksmanship skills, tactical decision-making, adaptability under pressure, teamwork abilities, and psychological resilience had all exceeded the standards required for elite unit assignment. The assessment had confirmed what she had always believed about her own capabilities. General Hayes personally congratulated Elena on her outstanding performance, noting that she had demonstrated exactly the qualities required for the most challenging special operations assignments. The recognition from such a senior officer validated everything Elena had worked toward throughout her military career. Elena's successful completion of the assessment opened doors to assignments that represented the pinnacle of military service. She had proven that gender was irrelevant when it came to tactical excellence, and that determination, combined with proper training, could overcome any obstacle. The future held unlimited possibilities for someone with her demonstrated capabilities. The experience had tested Elena's limits, while revealing reserves of capability she hadn't fully appreciated before the assessment. The knowledge that she could function effectively under any circumstances provided confidence that would serve her well in future assignments, where the stakes would be real rather than simulated. As Elena prepared to leave the assessment facility, she reflected on the lessons learned during the intensive evaluation. The experience had confirmed her tactical abilities while highlighting areas for continued development. Most importantly, it had proven that she belonged among the military's elite personnel regardless of any preconceptions about gender limitations. Elena Rodriguez had passed the most demanding military assessment program with distinction, earning her place among the armed forces' most elite personnel. The rifle they had taken from her had been returned, but she now knew that her true weapons were the skills, knowledge, and determination that no one could ever confiscate. The future awaited, and she was ready for whatever challenges it might bring.